No, this title is not clickbait. I gave notice and am quitting my job as a product manager with Ali Abdaal. But even more shockingly, I'm doing it in order to focus on academia. In this economy, yes, indeed. And in today's video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about why I took the role in the first place as somebody who is a full-time PhD student, what the role was like, and why I'm leaving. I'm also going to talk a little bit about what's next. So if you want to learn more, then go ahead and stick around. For those of you that are new here, my name is Kaelyn. I am a fifth-year PhD candidate in history and African American studies. I have been making YouTube videos for the past 6 years, documenting my journey as an academic, as well as the last year working as a product manager at a tech company. In April 2024, I landed my dream job working for Ali Abdaal, one of the top productivity creators here on YouTube. And the job that I took on was as a community manager for his new program called Productivity Lab. Now, I have lots of experience building online communities. I personally run and co-own a community called Accepted Society, which is for academics, independent researchers, students, and educators. And at the time when the job was listed, I was seriously considering leaving my PhD program. I was really struggling with my dissertation topic, and also because I wasn't planning on staying in academia traditionally, I was beginning to question the validity and the importance of having a PhD overall. And another component to my decision to take on a full-time 9-to-5 gig was financial as well as logistical. I moved from the US to the UK back in 2023 in order to pursue my archival research, but because the visa that I was on only lasted 2 years, I knew that I was going to need to find an alternative visa situation after that visa had lapsed. Now, there were a couple of different options. I had gotten a fellowship at Cambridge. This is known as the Fox Fellowship, which had full funding, but it was going to require that I move on to a student visa. And the problem with the student visa was that it would only last the period of time that I was in the program. So it would actually require that I left the visa situation that I was in and apply for a student visa, and that I would need to leave the country when my visa had expired. The problem is that I personally love living in the UK. I live here with my partner, and I have a community here, and I don't have any plans on moving back to the US. So the reason I was even considering taking on a full-time job was, one, because I was really seriously doubting my PhD. 2, logistically and financially, I needed to find a way to get onto a visa that would allow me to remain in the UK. And I won't lie, having a stable income was something that was very appealing after years of uncertainty. The PhD stipend, while very generous at a school like Yale, still does not cover everything. And I have had multiple businesses and side hustles as a result in order to maintain savings, in order to have a comfortable lifestyle. And ultimately, having a pay bump and going into a 9-to-5 position seemed like the right move at the time. Furthermore, the role was the perfect fit. I had, as I said before, worked in online communities. I had built a community on social media as well as through Accepted, and I felt like the role that they had listed for community manager was a perfect fit for me, and it seemed that they thought so too. So I started work at Ali Abdaal's in April of 2024. And for the first 6 months, it was the perfect role for me. I felt like I contributed well to the product. I felt like I understood what our customer needed. And I really loved managing a team of coaches and working in the weeds of the product. However, as I got further along in my time at Ali Abdaal, I got a promotion, which is normally a very good thing. However, I got promoted into a role that I don't actually think was very well suited for me. I was upgraded to product development, and that meant that I was working very closely with Ali on building courses and products and experiences for the upcoming year. Now, the problem that I had with being a product manager was that a lot of the projects that we were working on would have benefited from me being in person with Ali. Back in August, Ali got married, he moved to Hong Kong, his life circumstances changed, and I can tell that that change has made a big difference for him. However, it made my role particularly difficult because Ali is a visionary and so am I. We both really benefit from working with people in person, and what I found was that over time, I was going to need to be in person working on these projects more regularly. And that was going to mean that I would fly to Hong Kong in order to meet one-on-one. However, as you already know, I am currently trying to complete my PhD. I have a business. I have this YouTube channel. My personal life circumstances just aren't flexible enough to make that happen. The other thing is that Ali is about 8 hours in advance of me, and so there's just a lot of difficulty in coordinating and communicating across time zones. So the logistical factors played a role, but also product management was not something that I have done before other than for my own products. It required a lot of feedback and a lot of up-leveling that I wasn't really prepared for. Like I said before, I think that this wouldn't have been such a big issue if there were not logistical barriers. However, because of that, I began to speak to my manager about potentially going into a different role in the company. I had said that the product management role just didn't really feel like it was a good fit, and I wanted to see if there were other options. Now, one thing I will say about Angus and Ali is that they were incredibly understanding and were trying to find ways to support me as I found a different space for myself in the company. However, at the time that this was happening and these conversations were taking place, I was recommitting to my dissertation. As you might have noticed on my channel, I've been really focusing on trying to develop a writing routine and really get into the weeds of my dissertation. However, at the time that these conversations were happening, I was also starting to have doubts about the amount of time I was working on the dissertation and whether or not that was going to be sufficient in helping me complete the dissertation. I just have this gut feeling at the moment that I really need to dedicate myself to the dissertation in order to get it done. There are many people that complete a dissertation while working full-time. However, because of the nature of my dissertation being a history dissertation with early modern records, I need a lot of time in the archive. I need a lot of time to actually sit and work with the documents. Because I don't work with strict data, it just makes it much more difficult in order to write. But there was also one factor that played into my decision that I wasn't expecting, and that was the current political climate in the United States. If you've been following me for any period of time, then you know that I am a strong advocate for higher education and for multiple routes to and through higher education, for non-traditional first generation and a diverse range of students. And with the current presidency and this administration, there has been a vested effort to dismantle higher education funding, grant funding, science research funding. And as this is all happening, I am seeing how it affects my community. This has an impact on the people that follow me on social media. It has an impact on the people that are part of Accepted Society. And as somebody who has personally benefited from these programs, including community colleges, the Pell Grant, scholarships and grants that are offered by the state and federal government, as well as things like student loans, albeit quite exploitative. I have a vested interest in ensuring that my community is supported. And so basically all these three things combined to this catalyst point where I made the decision, along with my partner, that I would give notice at my job. It was a difficult decision, but because of the three things that played into this, which is one, that the role wasn't quite the right fit for me, two, that I really feel the need to focus on my dissertation, and three, having this feeling, this kind of gut instinct that I really need to focus on how to advocate for higher education and recommit to Accepted Society in order to do that. It just seemed like the right thing at the time to go ahead and move on. Now, this may come as a shock to some people, it may not for others, but I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone on the Ali Abdaal team. I had the most incredible year and I learned so much. I remember during my final interview, Ali asked me why he should hire me, given that I was an entrepreneur, and why I didn't want to just do things on my own. And I said that I wanted to learn, that I wanted to be challenged, and that I wanted to work in an environment where I could have a really serious impact. And I'm just really grateful to Ali, Angus, and the rest of the team for taking a chance on me, giving me the opportunity to really impact the product and our customers. And everything that I've learned over the past year is something that I'm going to be applying to Accepted, to my work as a content creator. And I am just really grateful for having had the opportunity, because I don't think that I would have come to this realization, have come to this kind of full circle moment where I'm recommitting myself to history and to education, had it not been for this year of growth, this year of learning. And so just a thank you to them and to everybody that has kind of stuck with me through this wild ride of adapting. I feel like the last year and a half or so was just me trying to really figure things out and figure out what it is that I wanted. And I really appreciate all of you that have stuck around and allowed me the space to figure those things out. And so now let's talk a little bit about what's next. So first and foremost, I want to talk a little bit about the logistics of leaving the job, because oftentimes I see creators make videos about them quitting, and I always have questions about what the finances look like behind it. I have had a full-time gig, which means that I've had a full-time income. I have made a little bit of money on the side from YouTube, but not nearly as much as I did back in, say, 2023. And what this means is that for the next couple of months, I'm going to be a bit broke. I'm going to be not making very much money. But the thing is that there are two things that I'm working towards. First and foremost, I have one remaining semester of UDF, which is a university dissertation fellowship. So I have one more semester of funding that I can pull from Yale. And then after that, I have to be fully self-funded. In addition to that, my business partner and I, Kate, have been really working on building out Accepted Society and trying to make it so that way that could be our full-time income in the long term. So what that's going to look like is that the next couple of months, I'm going to be living solely on content creation. That's going to be based on YouTube, my Patreon, and other content creation related income. So it's going to be a little bit tight, but I do have savings and I've been, preparing for this. So I'll be in an all right spot. And then come September, I will have access to the University Dissertation Fellowship through Yale. So I will use that through the end of the year. So from September through December. And then the goal is my business partner and I can draw a salary from Accepted. So the plan is to try to build Accepted up over the next couple of months. So that way that is possible. And there are a couple different ways that we're going to be doing that. First and foremost, many of you may be excited to know that we are going to be opening up admission services again. So I am back in helping students with graduate admissions applications. However, I'm going to be doing it in a much more limited capacity than I did under Accepted Consulting. My plan is to take no more than 5 clients per month. So if you're interested in working with me, I do have availability starting in April. So I'm going to have all the information down below. And then the second thing that we're going to be launching through Accepted is the Fellows Program. So the Fellows Program is specifically designed for non-traditional returning students as well as independent researchers. It is a 4-month-long course that Kate and I were going to be leading starting in May. And with this course, we've designed a syllabus where there are weekly seminars as well as monthly one-on-one coaching sessions, which essentially replace a tutor. The way that we've designed it is so that way independent researchers and students that are returning to university and that need written samples for their applications can expect to write a full 25-page written sample or article. The beginning of the course is really going to focus on the actual methods of research and what it means to prepare a research question. And then we're going to talk a little bit about literature reviews and then go into the structure of articles and written samples as well as writing them. So if that's something you're interested in, you can go ahead and check out the waitlist down below. But as I said, one of my main missions for the next couple of months is going to be steadily growing Accepted's programs so that I can hopefully have a salary and that this can become my full-time gig after I finish my PhD. The next thing that's going to happen is I am going to be full sending it on my dissertation. At the moment, I don't have a set deadline or date for when I plan on submitting my dissertation. The goal is simply to write and submit it as quickly and as effectively as possible. So this is going to include writing retreats, study vlogs, trying different study spots around London, and also a return to educational and history-focused content. Which leads me to my final point, which is that, as I just mentioned, I'm going to need to draw an income from YouTube and from content creation, at least for the next couple of months. And so I'm going to be focusing on what I do best, which is higher education-based content and a little bit of history. There is a lot going on in the United States right now, and I think that it deserves a historian's take and some video essays in order to discuss what's going on with grants, how it is that we can move forward as academics, how it is that we can move forward as a profession, how can we support humanities scholars, how can we find alternatives to federal funding to support our research. And I also want to make more history-related videos that look at popular culture, or rather social change at the moment and apply a historian's lens. For example, there is a lot of discussion about the Gilded Age. I would really love to make a Gilded Age video. There's also a lot of discussion about the exploitation of child labor, and oftentimes a lot of the videos only focus on the 19th century, but as I see in my dissertation, child exploitation has a legal basis in the early modern period as well. So we're going to be exploring that in some videos, and if you would like to support me, I would greatly appreciate you hitting the subscribe button and perhaps considering checking out my Patreon. My Patreon has additional content where there's videos that I don't necessarily think are going to be the most applicable to my current audience. And it's just a nice way to connect with you and to communicate. I also host community calls for my VIP members once a month just to hang out and chat. So if that's something that you're interested in and you're interested in supporting me directly, then I would greatly appreciate it. But even a subscribe, a like, a comment, those go a long way in supporting my channel and helping it reach other people. So regardless of the ways that you're able to support me and wish to support me, I greatly appreciate you being here for watching this video. I'm really excited about this next stage. I'm a little bit nervous because it feels like a leap of faith. There's something in my gut that tells me that this is the right decision and that this is the change that I'm needing. Every time I've had this gut feeling, it has always led to something special. And I would not be where I am today had I not followed these signals of intuition. I had it back when I left my professional athletics career to pursue academia. I had the same gut feeling when I decided to go to Oxford and when I decided not to go to law school in order to focus on my PhD. I had the same feeling when I decided to launch Accepted. And so I'm just going to trust it and hope for the best. If you would like to follow along for the journey, then I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support. I really genuinely appreciate it. So we're gonna head on into this next chapter together, and I look forward to seeing where it takes us. Bye, friends.